Most folks think the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 is just another striker-fired polymer pistol in the $600 bracket. They're wrong. In this video, we'll talk about what Smith & Wesson doesn't advertise, but absolutely should. We'll look at all the pros and cons to help you decide if you're on the fence. Whether you're eyeing the subcompact, the compact 4-inch, or the pricier aluminum frame metal series, this breakdown gives you the full picture. Not a brochure, not a sales pitch, just what experienced shooters have figured out after thousands of rounds and years of carry. Let's talk about the subcompact first. The first thing most folks discover after unboxing the M&P 2.0. Subcompact is that the gun refuses to behave like the typical 12-round carry piece. Slide in the supplied flush magazine and you get a tidy 12+1 package. Keep digging through the foam and you see sleeves for 15 and 17-round magazines. Exactly the same bodies used in the 4-inch compact and the full-size duty gun. Nothing needs to be swapped, fitted, or filed. The pistol arrives from Springfield, Massachusetts, ready to eat its big brother's magazines. For a concealed carry buyer who wants capacity without thickness, that single design choice feels like value. A street price of roughly $580 means the pistol costs no more than many Micro 9s that carry fewer cartridges and lack factory support for larger magazines. A grip only matters when the sights lift off target, and the M&P 2.0's frame texture keeps them anchored. Unlike older Smiths, or most competitors, the entire grip module arrives with an almost skateboard tape coarseness pressed into the polymer. It isn't pretty, yet it bites glove leather, wet palms, and even cold, numb fingers. The pattern wraps around the frame instead of stopping at the flats, so lateral torque during rapid strings never feels like it pushes the gun sideways. Shooters who used to pay $80 for an aftermarket stipple job find they no longer need to. Even when sweat or rain slicks everything else, the pistol remains glued in place. Fit matters as much as friction. 4 backstrap inserts ride under the grip panels: small, medium, medium-large, and large. Swapping one involves a simple quarter turn of the frame tool at the heel. No pins drift, no springs launch across the bench. With that range of sizes, the pistol meets small hand shooters who can't control a Glock 17 as well as large hand shooters who hate dangling pinkies. Competitors often ship 2 inserts, and aftermarket frames add cost. Smith's decision means a single SKU satisfies most customers and points to a careful study of human factor data rather than marketing theory. Shooters notice the bore axis after the first controlled pair. The M&P's slide sits low enough that the web of the hand nestles under the rear sight rather than behind it. Muzzle flip never disappears, yet the lower pivot shortens the arc and returns the front sight faster. On a timer, the effect shows up as tighter splits and less vertical stringing. Even shooters who grew up on Glock find the Smith recovers at least as quickly, though the grip angle feels more natural for many who come from a 1911 or P30. The engineers clearly prioritized controllability over fashion lines. Some enthusiasts want metal under their palms, and Smith catered to them with the M&P 2.0 metal series. The frame is cut from 7075 aluminum and carries the same grip modules, rail, and controls as the polymer gun. It tips the scale at 29 ounces, only 2 heavier than the plastic original, yet the weight distribution changes. Balance shifts forward, smoothing the recoil pulse and keeping sights flatter at speed. Current street price hovers near $890, about what an optics-ready Walther PDP or SIG X series demands, so buyers pay for refinement rather than raw novelty. Inside, every M&P 2.0 stainless chassis runs almost the full length of the dust cover. Earlier generations ended the rail near the trigger pin, which allowed frame flex under torsion. The longer rails keep the slide tracking true during recoil and prevent vertical shift when lights hang from the rail. Accuracy improvement is tough to quantify without a ransom rest, yet anecdotal reports from departments and competition shooters show tighter groups when the distance stretches past 25 yards. The added rigidity also aids durability. High round count users have documented frame condition staying firm well past 50,000 rounds. Triggers generate most of the forum noise, so it matters that the factory trigger now carries a crisp, audible 3mm reset. Break weight averages 5 pounds on a Lyman gauge, and while there is slack on the front end, the wall feels distinct. Shooters who ride the reset during controlled pairs appreciate the short return. Those who demand a glass rod break can spend $45 on an Apex machined sear and drop the pull to 4 pounds without altering geometry or jeopardizing striker engagement. For competition, there is a $180 complete flat face kit, but many find the basic sear more than enough. One pistol covering multiple rolls means less training overhead. Carry the subcompact appendix with a 12-round flush magazine for comfort inside summer clothes. Keep a 17-round mag fitted with the factory sleeve in the nightstand for home duty. Swap to a 15-rounder when weather allows an outside-the-waistband rig. The manual of arms never changes, magazines interchange, and spare parts remain the same across 4-inch compacts and full-size service guns. That kind of ecosystem matters when shooters want simplicity rather than a safe full of specialized tools. Long-term owners rarely complain about stoppages. One shooter logged 9,500 rounds of steel case and bargain reloads over 12 months without a single feed failure. Another ran 5,000 through a duty compact, cleaning twice, and saw nothing worse than holster wear on the melanite finish. Reliability stories pile up across forums, and a growing number of law enforcement agencies have adopted the platform with no reports of systemic problems. That kind of reputation, combined with an MSRP of $649 for the optics-ready 4-inch model, places the gun squarely against Glock 45 and CZ P10, yet keeps value intact. Praise out of the way, the pistol carries faults worth knowing. The hinge trigger remains the most divisive design element. Some find the lower shoe too flexible, giving a spongy feel during slow fire. Critics worry about potential breakage because the hinge is a moving part. While actual failures are rare, perception steers many buyers toward flat-face aftermarket units or entirely different brands. Those who carry with heavy gloves sometimes find the hinge fails to depress if their finger only contacts the upper half, causing a dead trigger sensation. Full disassembly exposes another irritation. Glock owners pop 2 pins, remove the locking block, and strip the frame bare. The M&P requires the frame tool to rotate, 3 pins drifted, and patience when springs try to escape. Installing an Apex kit takes 15 minutes for a trained armorer, yet can frustrate first-time owners who expect easier service. That complexity becomes a maintenance hurdle for shooters who prefer to clean every nook or install competition springs. Optics-ready models raise eyebrows at the register. A polymer M&P 2.0 without a slide cut sells near $600. The same gun with the factory optic pattern usually retails above $750, crossing into SIG P320X carry territory and sitting well above the Beretta APX A1 or Konig TP9 Elite SC. Given that the trigger still lags behind those rivals out of the box, some shoppers feel the extra spend isn't justified without further factory upgrades. Front slide serrations look aggressive in photos, yet feel shallow in real use. Under dry conditions, they grip well enough, but oily fingers or wet gloves slip when attempting forward press checks. Owners who run suppressed or carry in humid climates typically rack the gun from the rear simply because the front grooves don't bite. Aftermarket slide milling solves the problem, but at added cost and turnaround time. That beloved grip texture can punish skin. Appendix carriers who skip an undershirt report raw spots after an afternoon in the truck. Some sand the peaks lightly with 500 grit paper, though doing so sacrifices traction. Others install rubber grip sleeves, negating the very advantage the frame offers. Balancing comfort and control becomes a personal calculus. Trigger travel before the wall measures nearly 8 millimeters. During deliberate fire, the distance allows proper prep, yet during rapid transitions, some shooters slap through the slack and struggle with timing. A $15 ram spring shortens take-up slightly, but the only real cure is the pricier sear or complete trigger assembly. Size compromises concealment. The 4¼ inch model measures 7.4 inches overall and 1.3 inches wide. It disappears under a jacket but prints under a thin t-shirt more than a Glock 19. The subcompact is thicker than a P365 or Hellcat, and while it carries better shot-to-shot, it demands a quality belt and holster to avoid uncomfortable leverage against the hip. Stock sights arrive in polymer housings with painted 3-dot inserts. Tritium night sights are an optional package, but most buyers of the base gun swap to Ameriglow or Trijicon steel sets almost immediately. After spending $600 on the pistol, and perhaps another $150 on sights, some wonder if a rival that ships with steel night sights would have been cheaper. The aluminum frame impresses at first grip, yet omits texture in several places where the polymer version keeps stippling. The front strap carries aggressive cuts, but side panels halfway up the frame are smooth, so high thumb shooters lose purchase during recoil. Skateboard tape patches the issue, though covering bare aluminum seems a missed opportunity on an $800 pistol. Aftermarket trigger gains differ by caliber. The Apex Sear drops a 9mm pull by roughly a pound and sharpens the break. The same part installed in a 45 ACP model barely changes pull weight, leaving owners who expected a transformation somewhat disappointed. Smith's geometry varies across calibers, and no amount of polishing erases that mechanical reality. Balancing all of these traits reveals a pistol designed for work rather than fashion shoots. Grip texture, magazine versatility, low bore height, and chassis rigidity deliver performance where the timer or real life cares. Mushy hinges, tricky takedown, and spendy optics packages complicate the equation. Yet for around $600, $750 if you insist on a slide cut, you get a reliable blaster with capacity flexibility, and adding better sights and a sear still keeps the total under a comparable P320X5 or Walther PDP with similar upgrades. The metal series costs more but brings balance that some users deem worth every penny, particularly when it smooths recoil without adding the heft of steel-framed rivals. Shooters who value absolute concealability, the lightest possible trigger, or a one-stop optics package may find better fits elsewhere. Anyone who wants a single platform covering carry, home, and training roles, who doesn't mind a little initial parts swapping, and who appreciates magazines shared across models will see strong value. The M&P 2.0 may not win beauty contests or strip faster than a Glock, yet it keeps firing when cheap ammo runs dry, grips when palms sweat, and adapts as skill grows. At the range that matters more than any brochure claim, accessories, aftermarket support, and long-term economics deserve a brief dive before you decide whether to swipe the card. Holsters are plentiful because the 2.0's external dimensions mimic the original M&P series. Nearly any Kydex shell stamped for the older gun accepts the newer slide serrations without drama. That backward compatibility means you can shop bargain bins or local classifieds and still find rigs that fit. Magazine prices remain sane, too. OEM 17-rounders hover around $32 online, while compact 15-round bodies rarely exceed $28. Compare that with $40+ Glock mags or proprietary steel bodies from less common brands, and the running cost picture brightens in Smith's favor. Spare parts sometimes appear scarce on retail sites, which pushes many owners straight to the factory store. A genuine recoil assembly lists for $16, striker assemblies for $35, and small pins for barely the cost of postage. Because those items ship direct, you bypass third-party markups and avoid the endless searching that plagues niche imports. Gunsmiths who tune competition pistols appreciate that the fire control group removes as a single module once those frame pins retreat, streamlining trigger work even if full disassembly at home feels tedious for casual owners. Loaded weight is another hidden metric worth running. A 4-inch compact with a fully topped 17-round magazine and Streamlight TLR7A on the rail tips, digital scales at 35 ounces. That figure sits between a SIG P320 carry with the same accessory and a Glock 19 set up identically. A lighter pistol might sound attractive, yet a bit of mass out front tames muzzle flip, returns sights quicker, and keeps repeated strings manageable when the shot timer starts dictating pace. Ammo diets seldom generate drama. Federal HST, Spear Gold Dot, Winchester Ranger, and even bargain basement steel case tool ammo cycle without hesitation in most user reports. The absence of picky feeding behavior matters when political waves or panic runs strip shelves and force shooters to grab whatever boxes remain. For left-handed shooters, life is further simplified by mirrored slide stops and an easily reversible magazine release. That ambidextrous mindset out of the box saves both time and money compared with sourcing aftermarket buttons or machining frame cuts on brands that treat southpaws as an afterthought. And that's it for this video. All right, that wraps it up. At the end of the day, the M&P 2.0 earns its place by being practical, dependable, and priced right for what you get. Got a favorite version? Or maybe one that just didn't do it for you? If you've got one in your EDC rotation, let us know how it's been holding up in the comments, and while you're down there, smash that like button if this helped you out, share it with your range crew, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell so you're in the loop when the next deep dive drops. Thanks for watching.